Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee, and this is Randy, and we're here at Frederick County Animal Control on Rosemont Avenue, and we are bringing you some adoptable dogs and some news about the shelter. As you all probably know, Frederick County Animal Control is the only shelter in the county. Therefore, we're not no-kill because we can't turn animals away. Since we're the only place people can bring animals, if dangerous animals come in or terminally ill animals come in, we take them because there's nowhere else for them to turn. So that means that some of the animals we receive can't be placed for adoption. There is a group called No Kill Nation which recommends 11 programs, which you can find a list of on our Facebook page, 11 programs that shelters can use to work towards reducing their euthanasia to as close to zero as possible. And one of the last programs that we needed to put in place was training for dogs in the shelter. And Ferdinand is one of the first dogs to begin the training. Randy is one of the first trainers to offer the training to dogs. And what we work on with dogs in the shelter are things like not jumping on people, not barking at the front of their cage. So if you adopt one of these works in progress dogs, we are going to give you instructions on the types of exercises they're working on. As you can see, Ferdinand now is choking on his treat. Ferdinand now is sitting when someone asks him to and working on not pulling on the leash. That one he spent about half an hour last night working on with Pam, one of our other trainers. She said they made a little bit of progress. But as far as sitting when asked to, as you can see, very distracted by the rabbits and other people in the room, yet when Randy asks him to sit, if he gets his attention, he can do it. Can you do it? Oh, good boy. So this goes a long way to help dogs to get adopted because they've got a little bit of knowledge under their belt before they go to their new home. So what you need to know about Ferdinand is clearly he's a pit mix. He is 2 to 3 years old. He came to us as a stray. And he has scars on his nose that are not from being bitten by another animal. So he was not a dog-fighting dog. But we're not sure what he did to his nose since he came in to us during a time when it was quite cold outside. Could have been frostbite, could have been something he stuck his nose in that was too small for his nose, or it actually could have been a substance, birdie, a substance that was on his skin. We have no idea. But the vet looked at it, it is healing beautifully, it's almost gone. So if you are interested in meeting Ferdinand or a dog like Ferdinand, please come to the shelter and see. And by the time people come in, he's probably going to know how to lie down on command and not pull on the leash. So we're very excited about this program, and we hope everyone who adopts a dog from us who's been through the training benefits and gets to experience what it's like to have a trained dog from the shelter. You're so excited. We are back with our next guest, Bandit, and Bandit is a Lhasa Apso mix that was originally adopted from a rescue group by a woman who unfortunately lost her home and was not able to keep her dogs. If you saw last week's episode, you would have met Gizmo, and that is the other dog that came from the same home. And they can be adopted together or separately. We have had some interest from a nursing home that might take them. And as you can see, Bandit is quite energetic. He is 7 or 8 years old. The owner got him when he was an adult, and she had him for a few years. He is already microchipped, he's already neutered, he's house trained, crate trained, likes other dogs, likes cats, likes people. And as I've said before, a lot of times people want their first dog to be a puppy so that they can have the full experience of the entire life of the dog, and that makes a lot of sense until you realize that there is a benefit to your first dog being a dog that can teach you how to be a dog owner and what dogs need. He already knows everything. You won't have to worry about learning anything except for his body language and how to entertain him, how to be with him. Then, once you have had a dog like Bandit, raising a puppy is so much easier because some of the basics just come naturally. You already know how dogs are on leashes, how they are with other dogs. So there is definite benefit to letting an older dog teach you about dog ownership before you start with a puppy. Another advantage to getting a dog like Bandit is if you're looking for a pet for a child, then you might want to get a pet who already knows not to put his mouth on children, when he jumps up to be gentle, and so there's a lot to offer from a mature dog that has experience with people. And obviously, in his case, when I say a mature dog, he's by no means elderly. A 7 or 8 year old dog is very similar to a 35 to 40-year-old person. So he's in his prime, can be everything that you need a pet dog to be, and he's also super cute. So if you think that Bandit would make a nice pet for your family, then please come by and meet him. You should also know particularly about Bandit that his hair is cut this way. It'll grow a lot longer. And obviously you can either have his hair grow long and brush him, or you can keep him cut short so he looks like a puppy perpetually. We are back with Shiloh, and Shiloh is a 6-month-old Shepherd mix. And as you know, the way that we find homes for our puppies, for our under a year old, good girl, is we take 4 applications and then we make the best match for the dog. So for a dog like Shiloh, we're going to look for people that have, first of all, puppy raising experience if possible, and a schedule that allows for a 6-month-old puppy, which is a little bit easier to accommodate than, say, an 8-week-old puppy. But it does involve, you know, some flexibility. We always talk about this, but if you have an 8-hour workday plus an hour commute on each end, then getting a young dog just doesn't work out. And we fear that those dogs will get returned to us or rehomed. And in fact, a little less than 10% of the time that does happen, is that people adopt a dog, and despite our careful interviewing and preparation process, people still say, wow, I know you said it was going to be hard, but it was even harder than we thought. So we will take 4 applications for her and find the best match, and then we'll sit down with you and talk about house training, crate training, target training, leash training, so that she can be a great dog. As you can see, at only 6 months old, she's pretty low-key and attentive, so I think she's going to be a really great dog. Only 10% of a dog's genetics determines how they look. But because she looks husky shepherdish, then it's going to be really important for her to be introduced to lots of strangers so that she doesn't fear them. And also, what a good girl. And to have the opportunity to learn lots of tricks. As you can see, she's very smart, and she's into pleasing people and wants to do a good job. So if you've been thinking about getting a puppy, and maybe not an infant toddler puppy, then a 6-month-old puppy is a good way to go. The one thing you need to know is that, you know, they're a little like a 11 or 12-year-old person. They have a mind of their own, and they want to do stuff all the time, and they easily get bored. And she's just a delightful puppy, and I think she's going to make somebody really happy. You just have to be ready for the next 6 months of making her into an adult dog. That's a responsible citizen, and everything that you want her to be. If you think that Shiloh would make a good match for you or someone that you know, come by to the shelter, meet her. And as usual, we have the wish list feature. So if Shiloh's not exactly the puppy you want, or if she's already taken by the time you come in, we allow you to get on a waiting list for a type of dog you would like. If you know you like German Shepherds, let us know. And then whenever we get German Shepherds, we can let you know. We are back with our next guest. This is Tess. She is a little beagle and so cute and friendly. We found her as a stray somewhere off of Peters Road. So there's a couple things you can do for us to help Tess. And number one is let anyone know who might have beagles or be missing beagles in the Peters Road area that she's here. Secondarily, obviously her name isn't Tess. We are calling her that because dogs quickly get used to the noises that people make and what might indicate them, and so it's nice for her to have a name while she's here so she'll know what we call her. Sometimes it confuses people if they see a dog on TV and we call her Tess and they say, oh, I saw a dog named Tess on the TV show. She looks just like the dog you lost. So I want to make it clear that when she came in, we made up the name Tess, and that's what we're calling her. She may very well have another name. Additionally, you can go to petfinder.com and see her picture and post that on your Facebook page or email it to people that you think might be interested in adopting her, because we have had her for enough time that we weren't able to find her owner, and now we want to find her a new home. And she does look like she's had puppies before. That might help to locate someone who might be missing her. And she's just delightful. I mean, she likes everyone and she's polite, and we think that she's about 6 years old. We're not sure, we're just taking a guess. She's very petite and low-key for a beagle. So sometimes people worry about getting a stray beagle because they can tend to be runners. And obviously that's something you have to think about with any hound, is that you need to supervise them and make sure that they're not left unattended in a yard that's not secure, because they usually find a way to chase rabbits and squirrels any way they can. And obviously that's what they're made to do, and so we can't blame them for being good at what they're made to do. If you think that Tess would make a nice match for someone that you know, or even for your own family, please let us know. We'll be back after a short break with some more adoptable animals from Frederick County Animal Control. Hope you join us.
Before, addiction and depression kept me from living my life. Now, every step I take in recovery benefits everyone. There are many options that make the road to recovery more accessible. It begins with the first step. Join the Voices for Recovery. For information and treatment referral for you or someone you love, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back. We are back with some adoptable cats at Frederick County Animal Control. And our first guest is Aurora. And you may know that we color code our cats, and we have 3 different colors that we use to help you choose a cat. The first one is blue. Aurora has been color coded blue. Those are for lap cats, and that means that she likes to be with people. She really likes to be with people that aren't scary, so she's going to hide over there with Randy instead of look at the camera, which is big and round. But she is about 7, and she is a female. She came to us as a stray. We found her around Willowdale. We think she's already been spayed, so she was someone's pet. And she is just a sweet, sweet, snuggly cat. She's a little scared here. But the other colors that we use to color code cats are orange for a more rounded, moderate, in-between personality. Sometimes they want to be on your lap, sometimes they want to be playful. And then we have cats color coded green. That means that they are more independent, more playful. And Aurora is going to make somebody a very snuggly companion. But what we would recommend when she goes to her new house is that you put her in the bathroom for a couple of days so she can get to know you. If you were to take a cat like this home and just let her go in your house, she would hole up somewhere where she would scope out your place, and it may take her 5 days, 6 days to feel safe. So all that time is lost. You don't get to know her. She doesn't get to know you. By putting the cat in the bathroom, then you're able to go in there several times a day, feed her, comfort her, become her friend, and that way when you allow her to explore the rest of the house, she already has you as an anchor, someone she trusts, someone she can go to if anything is overwhelming or startling. And cats like this, oddly, adjust very well to the shelter because they get to stay in their small own room. No one comes in without announcing it. They have their own bed, their own food, their own litter box, and it's quite comforting to her to be able to control things that way when she's in a new place. So creating that in your house will help her adjust quickly. And as you can see, it doesn't take her very long to figure out that somebody's not dangerous. Her feet are moving just a little bit, so she's getting comfortable and feeling good again. If you think that Aurora and her lovely green eyes would make a good match for you or someone that you know, then please come into the shelter meter or send people over, or you can put her picture on Facebook for us so people know she's here. We are back with our next guest, Topaz. And Topaz is commonly known as a tuxedo cat. Pretty easy to see why. She is 2 to 3 years old and also came to us as a stray. So she came from the Edgewood Church Road area. She's also color-coded as blue, which means easy to handle, trim her nails and whatnot, things that we have to do here. It is interesting to me how many cats we get that are friendly, accustomed to being handled by people, having their nails trimmed, being brushed, that no one ever claims. So I don't know if what occurs is people assume the cat is gone forever, or the cats get a far distance away from their home before they're picked up in Frederick County, or if she was not any more than loosely owned. You know, sometimes people just generously put out food for cats, but they don't really own them. And one of the things during this time of year, Valentine's Day is coming up, is that we do ask people, if you are feeding a cat, it's great. Cats sometimes need a little bit of help. But one of the things you should think about is if all you're doing is feeding the cat, you're just going to make her barely healthy enough to have kittens. So what we recommend is that you get in touch with a group like the Animal Welfare League has a program called Friends Helping Felines. And you can also call the shelter at 301-600-1546 to ask us about other programs. But what these groups do is that they will help you get a cat that you're feeding spayed. It doesn't cost you anything. Obviously, if you're able to donate to their cause, that's a big help to them so they can do more cats. But they will help to get a cat that you're willing to feed vaccinated for rabies and spayed so that she doesn't have kittens. Then by feeding her, you can keep her healthy. You can offer some rudimentary shelter for the rough weather like what we've been having. And it does make a difference because studies on what's called trap, neuter, and return, which is what this is. You bring the cat in for spay, but then put her back where she was living successfully, has, after 5 to 10 years, the outcome of controlling the cat population. So it really is a long commitment. If you say it's going to be 5 years before this plan works, it's not something that tax dollars are invested in. What the animal shelter can offer is we can go out and trap cats and bring them into the shelter. What often happens is if those cats are sick or not able to be handled, then we're not able to offer them for adoption. One of the options that a community or property owner has is to maintain a small number of altered cats, spayed or neutered, on their property to control mice and to keep other cats from collecting. So if you do want to look up more, Alley Cat Allies has lots of information about TNR programs and how they benefit the entire community. As you all have heard me say many times, from April to October, we get over 1,000 kittens, and those kittens are, some of them, coming from people whose cats are not spayed and have an unplanned litter, but most of them are coming from cats that don't have a specific owner, and so they haven't been spayed. And generous people bring the kittens in when they're young and cute and handleable so we can try to find them a home. If you think that Topaz would make a good match for you or someone that you know, or if you know anyone in the area that she came from, that was Edgewood Church Road, please let them know that there is a little black and white cat in the shelter that could be theirs, and we certainly can help them get her spayed and vaccinated if they would like to have her back. She's been here long enough that we don't think someone is looking for her. We are the only shelter in the county, so usually when people look for their pets, they come here first. And we have lots and lots of lost reports for cats that are missing that don't match the cats that are here in the shelter. So come in person if you're missing your cat. Make sure your cat's not here. And Topaz is available for adoption. As you can see, quite affectionate, is going to make a great pet. We are back with Ray, and Ray is 2 to 3 years old, and he also came to us as a stray. He came from 5th Street. So it's very interesting to me how many cats that we get that are no longer kittens, clearly friendly and affectionate with people. So somebody raised this kitten to be nice like this. He has a little bit longer than the regular short hair, so we call these cats domestic medium hair. It's not an official term or anything, it's just shelter-wide, used so that if Randy is looking for a cat and I say it's a black domestic medium hair, he can, by process of elimination, figure out which cats we're talking about. And for any of you who have been to the shelter, we label all the cages. Their carrier has the same number on it that their cage has on it. They have a card on the front of their cage. They have accompanying admission papers. They have a pet finder log. So every day, Kayla walks through the shelter and makes sure that every animal we think we have is exactly where we say the animal is. There is a lot that goes into caring for this number of animals. So Ray, who again we named, may have had another name in his previous life, but Ray is available for adoption because his family did not come to look for him. And one of the things that we often wonder about when people don't come to the shelter to look for their pet is if they even know we're here. So this TV show helps us. We're the only shelter in the county. We sometimes think that everyone knows that we're here, but it helps us if you get the word out that this little lost kitty came to us, and friendly and outgoing as he is, was probably someone's pet, and that since no one is looking for him, then we're going to find him a second chance. He's going to make someone a great pet, as you can see, very photogenic and able to handle kind of a strange situation for a cat. Stranger comes in, picks you up, brings you to a strange room, puts you in front of a camera. I am always amazed at how well they do with what we ask them to do. So if you think that Ray would make a good match for you or someone that you know, then let us know.
Plus, we got lots of noises going on.
You okay? We are back with Bryce, and Bryce is our little bobcat look-alike. He's got little tufts of black hair on his ears, a big round face, and that is partially from not being neutered until maturity. He's between 1 and 2 years old, and that indicates that he's pretty smart, because unneutered males usually have a pretty short life in the wild. So the fact that he made it to maturity and is healthy, hasn't been in too many fights, means that he has a lot to offer someone who is considering getting a pet. Bryce is quite lovely, very natural looking. He's got that brown tabby, which is a common genetic feature of cats. I just think he's a beautiful cat. So everyone has their own opinion about what's lovely in cats. And if he seems like he is the kind of cat you would like, please come by and meet him. One of the things that we offer cats that come into the shelter is that we microchip them, we neuter them, we vaccinate them for diseases that cats give to one another. We test them for leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus, 2 things that can shorten their life. Make sure that they don't have that before we put them up for adoption. And the adoption fee is $97.50, so it's quite a deal. If you were to add up all of those things at your local vet, and believe me, veterinarians do not make the profit margin that medical doctors for humans do, because they don't have to run complete hospitals, belong to HMOs, have the same kind of insurance, but it's still a very costly business to run, and they have to charge for their supplies and the time of their staff. But even that is much more than you would have to pay for adopting a cat from the shelter. And I don't know if you have heard, but there is a Maryland assemblyman who has asked the Maryland Assembly to consider giving a one-time tax credit to anyone in Maryland who adopts an animal from a shelter of $100. So what that means is if you spend $97.50 for this cat and that bill passes, so call your representative and support it, then you would get a $100 tax credit this year. So really, the cat is more than free. He's kind of making you money. It is something to consider. If that bill passes, it will be a boon for us. And the reason that that's offered is it's not a silly thing like calling an animal a dependent and getting tax support for having pets. That's not what it's talking about at all. It's saying that since in Maryland, every county has an expense dealing with stray animals, and your taxes are paying for that. If you take on one of these stray animals, then it's giving you a tax deduction for doing so, for helping put back the money that we have spent getting nuisance animals or dangerous animals or homeless animals off the street. So if you think that that sounds good to you and you can support that, then consider coming in and meeting the cats that we have here for adoption, or our dogs. But Bryce in particular is just a beautiful cat, and he's going to make someone a great pet. If you think he would make a good match for you, let us know. We are in the kitty cabana at Frederick County Animal Control. And while we have featured this room on Pet Pals before, there have been some improvements. We had a volunteer who made these lovely boxes you see mounted onto the wall with cutouts for the cats. And we made it a little more colorful. So what we're doing with this room is we have this enclosure inside the room that has cats in it. So if a cat is newly introduced to the room, they get to be in the enclosure, watch the other cats loose and playing around. When they approach each other at the door and bars and seem to want to get to know each other better, then we rotate them and place the cats that are free into the enclosure and let the contained cats out to be free. And once we can tell that they're curious and comfortable with each other, then they can all have the freedom of this room. And it is a lot of fun for cats to be able to run around, play with toys, interact with each other. So far, all of the animals that we have introduced to the room have been adopted pretty quickly, except for Russell. And Russell is a short-haired black cat who is 1 to 2 years old. He's already neutered. He is a lovely, wonderful cat and color-coded blue, which means he gets along with everyone. And he would make a great addition to someone's household. And we should tell you the sad story of Russell is he's been here since August 28th. You have met him before if you're a regular viewer of Pet Pals, because he was on the September 28th episode, but he is still with us. So we are very interested in finding him a home. As you know, in the spring, we're going to have many kittens in the shelter, and it's just going to be even harder for him to be noticed. So as you know, black cats are my favorite. If you are interested in a cat like Russell, then please come by the shelter and let us know. But if you would like to come by and spend some time in the cat room, being introduced to any of the cats that we have in here, then we really encourage that. We're very glad to have the space to be able to allow cats that have been here a long time, like Russell, to have a little more freedom, but also for the work that our volunteers did, making this room just so nice for the cats and appropriate for them, safe and completely interactive, so that they can enjoy what time they have here while they wait for their new home. Thanks for joining us this week on Pet Pals. There is a link at the bottom of your screen if you want to share this episode of Pet Pals. You can also help us out by sending Pet Finder pictures of adoptable pets at the shelter around to people you know, or paste them on your Facebook page. And hope to see you next time on Pet Pals.